Yo, boxing aficionados. What's up? What's going on? Hey, yo, check this out. Today I want to talk about Terence Crawford. Right? So Terence Crawford, God knows I love the guy. I think he's definitely... I have no problem with him being ranked number one, pound for pound. I think that just in terms of activity, I would have to edge it to Neo Inoue. The guy's in the ring all the time, right? The guy's in the ring all the time. He's gotten in the ring, I believe, three times in 14 months, and he's planning on getting back in the ring in December. So that'll be 4 times in 14 months, and 4 times in about 16, 17 months. That's unprecedented in today's age, day and age. And so that's why I would edge it towards Neo Inoue, fighting good names, moving up divisions, and fighting often. Now, that's no criticism of Terence Crawford, because I, unlike most boxing fans, am very conscious of sequence of events. And there's a rhyme and reason to why Terence Crawford has only fought once in the last year and a half. Is it year and a half? Yeah, just about, right? This is last August. He just sort of, yeah. So the point is that I understand why he hasn't gotten in the ring in a timely fashion after giving us the victory of a lifetime, us PBC haters. When he absolutely obliterated that sham Errol Spence and burst the bubble of the PBC so-called welterweight elites. This was a damn sham. I don't want to go over it again. Point is that in order to get that fight, he needed to sign a rematch clause. He needed to honor the rematch clause to the best of his ability. I love the way he played it. He refused to give Errol Spence the rematch at 154. Said, well, I'll fight you, but I'll fight you at 147. And he took a little bit of heat from PBC fans. They said, oh, I'll fight him at 154. What he's going to fight Errol Spence at 154 in a rematch with no belt for? Why would he do that? Just to give Errol Spence a better opportunity to beat him? Not that was going to happen at 154 or 160 or 168. Errol Spence doesn't have the skill set to beat Terence Crawford at any weight. At any weight. That much is clear. So I think that Crawford didn't want to give him the rematch at 154 simply because he didn't want to fight him again. Been there, done that. If we're going to fight, we're going to fight at 147. And so that took time, in that Errol Spence and PBC and Al Heyman and them just stalling Crawford like they did for, a good chunk of his career. Because this fight with Errol Spence should have happened at its absolute apex, which was 5 years ago. Did it sell any more than it would have done? Did it have the same effect? Did the stalling and marination have the same effect on Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford that it did on Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather? Which one can argue got bigger because of the of the the eternal marination and the 5-year wait. It exploded into a $4.5 million, 4.5 million selling pay-per-view. Did it have that effect? No, absolutely not. Did it have minimal effect? I would say that the numbers would have been just about the same whether they would have fought 5 years ago as they were fighting, 5 years later. I mean, if they would have fought 5 years ago during the confrontation that they had with each other and the PBC and in the at that auditorium when they saw each other, I guess it was for the Tyson Fury Wilder fight. They would have fought then at that point, coming off Top Rank and PBC holding that event. The Fox and ESPN doing the conjoined event for Wilder Fury. They would have fought right after that. It would have been great. However, we had the pandemic. But if they would have fought before that, before the pandemic, it would have been even better. So how did it sell any more than it would have back then? I maybe. I think it sold 700,000, but it would have gotten 500,000 at that point. So I don't know. One could argue that it did get bigger, but nevertheless, he had to sign a rematch clause just to get to that fight, and then they dicked him around with the rematch clause. PBC didn't want to lose money in a rematch. 147, they knew that fight wasn't going to sell. They had big guarantees in that rematch clause. And Errol Spence wanted the fight, but didn't want to make 147. So there you have it. He had to basically outweight the, or rather wait out the contract, wait for it to expire. That brings us to him fighting, and it was a good comeback. If you imagine that he came back, no tune-ups, and took on Madrimov. Now people are poo-pooing it, and the whole notion that Madrimov won that fight, or that it was competitive or contested or controversial, is utterly ridiculous. I'll tell you the story of that fight in a nutshell. Madrimov, Crawford, ding, 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 first bell rings, Crawford comes out, bap, hit him with a jab, stiff jab right in his face. Madrimov had no idea that he was going to get hit that quick, that hard, that effortlessly. And he took his heart right then and there. Crawford took Madrimov's heart right then and there. And then Madrimov got a passive, and Crawford knew that Madrimov has power. He's not going to go get Madrimov and be stupid about it. He's a skilled fighter. But it was Madrimov who didn't play his role, because Madrimov is an aggressive puncher, acrobatic, strong, athletic. He's displayed none of that against Crawford, because he understood with the first bell, bing, 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 this dude just hit me with shit I didn't even expect, very hard. He can do this all night long. I don't want to get hurt. Took his heart right down. And that's why you had a semi-boring fight. It was tactical. Some people didn't enjoy that fight. Crawford would have stopped him if Madrimov would have done what Madrimov does. Crawford would have stopped him. Be that as it may, I gave Madrimov maybe 3 rounds. Maybe 3 rounds. People gave no credit to Crawford's inside work, his body punches, the way he controlled every single moment of every single round. People gave Crawford no credit for that. They derided him for not stopping him and then want to criticize him. Because I honest to God, I've never seen a fighter, an elite level fighter like Crawford, who gets hate for no reason at all. This is a guy who's about his family. He gets in the ring, he's in the gym, he's about his family, his 5 kids, his beautiful wife, helps other fighters coming up in his community, clean fighter, and people don't appreciate that. Our own kind don't appreciate that. You know, it doesn't appeal to the PBC fans who like thugs and night partiers and you know and always in the line. That he doesn't appeal that, because he's about his business, straight lace. Definitely, I would say conservative values, and he's not appreciated. So he gets hate for no reason. Now, here's my criticism of Crawford. If now that the contractual situation is over, now that there are no rematch clauses that he has to honor with anybody, I'll tell you this: he needs to get in the ring this year by November, December. He needs to get in the ring. I really don't care that much about against who, but this video is about making some suggestions as to whom he could fight, right? People want to see the Virgil Ortiz fight. It's very high on people's radar. I'm not particularly fond of it right now, only because Virgil Ortiz doesn't have a belt. I feel if he fights Virgil Ortiz, and it'll be a great fight, because Virgil Ortiz, unlike Madrimov, is not going to get discouraged by Crawford's ability or hand speed or anything. Because you hit Virgil Ortiz, all he does is get madder and gets all the Mexican comes out of him. Madrimov was not Mexican. Madrimov is from Uzbekistan. And I got to tell you something. I'm going to make a video about Uzbekistan fighters, because they get a lot of hype around Uzbekistan fighters, right? A lot of hype. And I got to tell you, to me, they lack in the cojones department. They are, for what I've seen, they're front runners. They're front runners. When they're ahead, when they're much better than their opposition, they look spectacular. When they can overwhelm their opposition, they look wonderful. But when they get in a tight spot and they get hit and they get their heart taken. It happened to the guy that fought Robert Ford. That Otabek Kalmatov, right? Got his heart taken by Ford, Robert Ford, or whatever his first name is, the kid from Jersey. I mean, that was Kalmatov's fight to win. And when the going got tough, he couldn't last the 12 rounds. Back to Bully, when he fought Gabe Rosado. Gabe Rosado knocked his ass out when he got hit back. When Gabe Rosado decided to just hit, they stopped back to Bully. Ergashev, when he fought my man Matias, he embarrassed himself. Ergashev embarrassed himself. So all these Uzbek fighters that I'm seeing that get all this fanfare and they're not, they lack the Mexican testosterone, bravura, macho. It's not the same. And that's what Virgil Ortiz has. So he's not going to get discouraged by getting hit by Crawford. He's just going to get mad and come forward. I think Crawford would eventually beat him. I think he's too skilled. And his power has carried well up to 154. It has carried well. But Virgil Ortiz is going to come to fight and try to overwhelm him, and he may have a chance. I mean, he's trained by Robert Garcia. So it would be a great fight, but there's no belt on the line. I would rather Virgil Ortiz go ahead and take on Sebastian Fundora for the WBC belt. I'm looking at the rankings. It says that Virgil Ortiz is the interim. Sebastian Fundora, get that fight going. And then the winner take on Terrence Crawford. I would in a unification. Now Terrence Crawford, I'm looking at, like I said, Terrence Crawford. I'm going to leave the guy that I really is holds the WBA belt. Yeah, WBA belt, and he's interim with the WBO. This is where it gets interesting. Virgil Ortiz is said to be fighting Murtazaev, which is a PBC fighter. No. Murtazaev is supposed to fight Tim Tszyu. I'm sorry. So Virgil Ortiz, in order to get your hands on a PBC fighters, you got to be their man, though. In order to get your hands on a PBC fighter, you got to be their man, though. And Virgil Ortiz is Sebastian Fundora's mandatory. That's a Mexican against Mexican fight. Fundora having come off a win over Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu and Virgil Ortiz was supposed to get it on. Tim Tszyu is the one that's supposed to fight Murtazaev, because that's all PBC. Murtazaev goes to PBC via Kathy Duva. Murtazaev is with PBC via Kathy Duva, and I'm surprised because Murtazaev is a who's that guy that manages Lomachenko and Usyk? You know, he's down with dumb boys. Usually that manager takes his talents to Top Rank, and for some reason Murtazaev ended up with Kathy Duva. Now, what happens there, and I just want to share this with you, is that Kathy Duva gets the bottom of the run. That's how she got Kovalev. A lot of people passed up on Kovalev, and then what's his name took him to Kathy Duva. That's how. But a lot of people passed up on Kovalev, and then she got the scraps and did something with it. That's exactly what happened with Murtazaev in this situation. And so Kathy Duva not having any TV dates, right, has to like hitch her horses on to somebody who has TV dates. She had Murtazaev. She made an agreement, a co-promotion, some kind of arrangement with PBC. That's how he ends up there. Now PBC has got an arrangement with Tim Tszyu. That fight they can do in their stratosphere, kind of like PBC, whatever's going on over there is very strange, and do it on Prime and whatever. But the point is that Virgil Ortiz can get his hands on Fundora. Fundora also holds a part of the WBO strap, but he ain't gonna fight Crawford. We know that, right? They ain't doing Crawford no favor. Crawford, like I said, needs to get in the ring before before this year's out. He can't be waiting on Canelo. Can't be about, oh, Canelo's gonna fight next May. What are you gonna do? Stay out of the ring till next May? It's ridiculous. I think the pathway for Crawford is to unify at 154. Either unify at 154, not unify, but defend his strap at 154, And guess who's his interim? Mando. It'd be Jermell Charlo. I like that fight. It's a fight that can happen. Jermell Charlo ain't doing shit. It'll be a nice payday for him. He is the champion in recess for the WBA. He could come right back and go get that belt or challenge Crawford in the ring. I think there's some unfinished business between Crawford and Charlo. I think it'll be juicy. I think PBC fans would hang their hats on Jermell Charlo being a true 154, and he's going to expose Crawford, and it's not going to be the same. He's going to avenge Spence. It'll be great. I think that's the fight that I would love for him to take on. Or he could move up. If he wants Canelo, go ahead and move up, go to 160, and try to get Erislandy Lara in the ring. That's a good fight. Erislandy Lara, long in the tooth, 41 years old, but there would be a shared opponent with Canelo, and it would show Crawford showing some progression towards getting to 168. So it would be incremental. He'd be a champion at 154, go to 160, get a belt from Lara, and then come next May, it'll be like he's coming up one weight class to take on Canelo. That'd be great. It would be like he's moving in that direction. It'd be a shared opponent, like I said. Could he stop Erislandy Lara? People, like I said, PBC fans will say, "Oh, he's Erislandy's gonna outbox him. He's gonna this and that and third." He's gonna be making up some stuff as to why Erislandy will beat Crawford. I know it. All the Crawford haters will come up with all kinds of reasons why Jermell Charlo at 154 or Erislandy at 160 would beat Crawford. The point is, and the moral of the story is, Crawford needs to get in the ring ASAP. And the reason why I think it should be Jermell Charlo is because it's juicy. I like that fight better than quite frankly, I like that fight better than him taking on Virgil Ortiz. I like that fight better than him taking on Virgil. To me, it's more interesting. Why? Because it would be a champion in recess. It'd be a history behind that fight. The way that Crawford, man, he embarrassed. I mean, Crawford lost his mind after he whipped Errol Spence's ass. He climbed up on the rings and looked at Jermell Charlo. You know, like, I want to see it. I want to see it. And the reason why it can happen is because, let's face it, Jermell Charlo, ain't no money for Jermell Charlo. Ain't no